It is November 23rd, 2015, and it's 5:06 p.m. This is a meeting of the Utilities Committee of Troy City Council. My name is Doug Tremblay. To my left is Alan Clark. We're here today to discuss two items, the first of which is a 10-year lighting agreement for our street lighting. Mr. Titterington, can you give us the details?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The current street light agreement with Miami Valley Lighting expires at the end of this year. It's a 3-year agreement. In June of this year, Council authorized us to join with or continue along with the Miami Valley Communications Council and the group of cities around the Miami Valley region that has kind of volume negotiated street lighting rates for poles and luminaires. So you granted us that authorization. A subcommittee of that group has met several times with Miami Valley Lighting. They have come up with an agreement that they have recommended to the larger group of cities that's been involved in this, including Troy. We have evaluated that proposal, and we recommend the council authorize me to sign a 10-year agreement with Miami Valley Lighting. There are several components to it, but the highlights include we haven't seen any rate increase over the last 3 years, and I believe, although don't quote me on it, I don't think we saw a rate increase before that. So it's been a number of years, maybe up to 8 years, since we've had a rate increase. This extension of this contract for the first 5 years would see no additional rate increase. Then in year 6, we would see a one-time, a single, I won't say one-time, a single 5% increase in rates, and then that new rate structure would stay in place for the next 5 years. So we'd have a 5% increase for a period of at least 13 years, if not longer. So apples to apples, that's not a bad deal in today's market and with the inflation that you see historically and over time. We have a number of quite an inventory of streetlights that are mercury vapor. They have the mercury vapor heads that Miami Valley Lighting, over the life of the last contracts, has been slowly replacing with high-pressure sodium. As part of this agreement, Miami Valley Lighting would replace all of the mercury vapors in Troy within the first 5 years of the contract, and they would replace them with the correct wattage of LED. So they would not become HPS, they would just jump right to the LED technology. In addition, all existing high-pressure sodium could be replaced in that 10-year period, and we could, for a modest per bulb fee, within the first 6 years, replace all of our high-pressure sodium and convert them to LED. Now, they would not include the high-pressure sodium of 50,000 or higher lumens or luminaires, whatever that rating is, which are the main streets. And the reason is that the LED technology is not, it doesn't broadcast the light enough, and so we're not going to do that, and that's not going to be part of the contract. But other than that, everything from 27,000 and smaller would be replaced, could be replaced over the next 6 years, would be replaced over the next 10 years. We would also see an increase in monthly pole charges only for those poles that we swap out as they are deteriorate, are wooden poles, and they have to be upgraded. Most of our poles do not have a charge with them because they're wooden poles and they're in good shape. But when the committee met with Miami Valley Lighting showed them the install and the purchase cost of those poles, and so a modest increase. I mean, they don't cost that much, particularly the wooden poles per unit anyway, but most of ours have been grandfathered and we don't even pay a fee for those. With the changes to the contract, we don't expect any increase to our annual budget. We are going to begin Jill and I will sit down with Miami Valley Lighting and work out a schedule over the next 6 years so that we have hopefully minimal disruption on the roads, since we've got plenty of utilities, other utility work and public infrastructure projects going on, but with the idea that we would replace the mercury vapor a fifth at a time over the next 5 years, along with the high-pressure sodium over a period of 6 years. And when we do that and we do the math and we plug in the new rates for the LED, we don't see any impact to our budget, negative impact to our budget. The only long-term impact is from the 5%, and again, that's to be expected, and it's also modest when you take into account the conversion to the LED technology. We are requesting that this be considered emergency legislation. The committee's put a lot of work into it, and they've been only a week or so, 2 weeks ago, did they finally get to a point where they could reach out to the other municipalities and talk about the proposal, and they're trying to herd 13 to 15 of us, but the contract does expire December 31st, and so time is of the essence.
Thank you. Mr. Clark, do you have any questions?
Actually, I do. Thanks. What other communities are involved, and will they all be doing the same thing that we're doing?
I can't give you the total list, but I know that Kettering is involved, Miamisburg, Riverside, I believe Moraine, Beaver Creek is involved as well, Englewood. So that's just a sampling of the communities that are involved. I'm not clear on, I know that the ones that I listed plan on converting as quickly as they can. As part of the proposal from Miami Valley Lighting, it's, if the quicker we are to respond to them and say that, yes, we want to get our conversions done, the quicker they will convert, because they are only guaranteeing that they're going to do 2,500 luminaires every year, switching up from HPS to LED, because it's a workload issue for them. But for us, again, to manage our workload, manage the disruption to our other projects, as well as keep our budget as smooth as possible, that's why we want to do 1/5 or 1/6, depending on the type of bulb involved.
Do our city employees do this, or is it done through Miami Valley Lighting
and any subcontractor that they might have?
And also, what do we have now? I mean, when you drive down West Main Street, for example, what do you see lighting-wise?
I believe West Main Street is high-pressure sodium.
Okay, and LED will save the taxpayers money?
You will not see LED on West Main Street,
right?
Because of how large the luminaries have to be. But ultimately, the rates between HPS, the monthly rate between the HPS and the LED is cheaper.
Okay. So will this be a big disruption to our neighborhoods, or is it something that we ought to let the residents know about personally?
Well, that's something that when we sit down and discuss with Miami Valley Lighting, we want to get an understanding of how they're going to do it, and are they going to concentrate and just come in and blanket the city at one time? Do they plan on doing this a little bit at a time? Do they, are they going to coordinate? Concentrate first on the mercury vapors, and then where there is a mixture of mercury vapors and high pressure sodium, then do it all in the neighborhood so that you don't have what's called checkerboarding, where you've got two or three different color lights on the streets. But we'll talk to them. We'll see what kind of impact it might have, and then we will definitely, if there is some disruption or impact, let the neighborhoods know.
When would this start? The changeover?
Again, that means, in 2016 is when it would start, but exactly when, that's something that we'd have to discuss with Miami Valley Lighting.
I don't think I have anything else. Mr. Tremblay, thank you.
Mr. Twist, do you have any questions?
Yeah, just one. How many mercury vapor lights would need to be upgraded within the first 5 years? Is that
Oh, let's see. We have, I'd say approximately 1,000,
and those are intermixed throughout
1,100.
intermixed throughout Troy? It's not like they're all in one certain area.
That's correct.
Okay, that's my only question.
Any other council people have any questions? Mr. Phillips?
The luminaires, those are the heads, those are the lighting fixtures themselves, is that what you're talking about? You're indicating that the LED fixture is going to be smaller than,
They are,
take the West Market or West Main Street for an example. Those fixtures would be smaller than existing.
again, I don't believe Main Street would be switched to LED.
Correct. I'm just using that as an example of size.
Okay, the
sorry?
the wattage would be similar as far, but the light it's a whiter light. It is a more focused light, and the head itself has a much lower profile. They're flatter and they're thinner. We do have three areas in town where they did a kind of a beta test earlier in the year. If you look at the intersection of Shaftesbury and Adams Street, and then there are a couple of others, and I believe there's a section in front of the stadium on Staunton that they did a couple of years ago. Franklin and Plum as well, thank you.
Have we gotten any complaints from folks or compliments from folks in the three areas, one way or the other, as to whether they've noticed any changes? But again, my understanding of LED, and Ms. Rhodes, you may be better to explain this than Mr. Titterington. And it's just because she's dealing with it, that's all. But the focused light is going to be a smaller footprint, if you will, than mercury vapor or the high pressure sodium. They're not casting as wide a light.
No, you still get the same amount of coverage. It's just a sharper footprint, if you would.
Yeah, I would call it a more brilliant white versus a duller color or the orange or something.
But when you get into the larger ones, that's, the really large ones like you have on Main Street, that's when the LED just doesn't do the same.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
for our new subdivisions, are we saying that you should put in, like Halifax or the newer section of Nottingham, are we saying that you should put in LEDs?
I don't believe that we've got that as our standard. Whether or not they're doing that, I'm not sure.
It's in our subdivision regs, and so we are discussing that with them. So Halifax, I'm not sure exactly what was decided, but I'm not sure if there's street lighting out there. I mean, the contractor hasn't come to us, so I haven't actually been out there to specifically look, but we are in discussions with them about
Yeah,
that.
I would think it would make sense to let them know what our expectation is in advance.
Yeah, it is in the subdivision regulations discussing LED lights.
Okay, thank you.
Any other staff members have any questions? How do you feel about it?
We should move forward.
Okay? With emergency?
Yes.
And
Move forward with emergency.
I agree, so it's unanimous. We'll move forward with emergency on this issue with the lighting. Next item is to provide a recommendation concerning a contract, construction administration for the new water tower. Can you give us the details on that?
Sure. We are asking that we enter, first of all, that we increase the contract with EMH&T by $6,000 to handle the additional design work when the extra high service tower location was changed to Stanfield Road and away from Carriage Crossing Park. And then since we're doing that, that would come out of the 2015 budget. But at the same time, we are recommending that EMH&T do the contract administration during the construction period for the water tower. And so total, we are asking for an agreement that does not exceed the amount of $115,500 in total. And we are also requesting emergency legislation for this, primarily because the extra design work has been completed.
Okay. Mr. Twist, do you have any questions?
Nope.
Mr. Clark?
I don't have anything, thank you.
The only question I have, is it normal to have the vendor that constructs it to also be the management, have the same company to be the construction management?
It's more efficient to do it that way because they're the ones that have done the design work, so they know what should be expected.
Okay. Mr. Phillips, do you have any questions? Anyone else on council? Staff? What's your pleasure?
Move forward with emergency.
I echo what Mr. Twist said.
It's unanimous. We'll move forward. Positive recommendation with emergency. Is there anything else to come before Utilities Committee?
No, sir.
Then we are